welcome to episode 7 of the Sheep and Cheerful podcast. My name is Nikki. I am your host and CEO of all things Sheep and Cheerful, and this is a podcast about knitting. I was going to say winning, but I meant spinning and weaving, crochet, sewing, patchwork, all sorts of crafty things, bit of paper craft in there as well, and really about my attempts to live a crafty, cheerful life on a day-to-day basis. So welcome to those who are coming back for more, slightly crazy, and welcome to you if you're a new viewer. We're cranking up the viewers, it's very exciting, and as I say every week, apologies in advance for the little sound of paws on the wooden floor. Both the dogs, as ever, are in with me, Honey and Henry, and they wander around the room, but I can't shut them out because if I shut them out, they will scratch on the door, which is even more irritating than them walking up and down. So anyway, yes, welcome back to everybody who's been watching. Thank you again for your lovely messages. I've had some great messages and I've been chatting with some of you directly, and yeah, it's been pretty good. Thank you for your sympathy for my last week's week of being a plank. Totally, the pinnacle of which, wasn't it, was actually doing the podcast and calling it episode 5 when it was episode 6. I couldn't have planned that any better, could I, to make myself look like a plank. It's been a better week this week. I seem to have my act a little bit more together. So hopefully we can get through this without too many, get through this like it's a task. I can talk to you without too many boo-boos, as we used to say. Do people still say that? Say boo-boos if you make a mistake? I don't know. Oh, there you go. There's another thing. Start as we mean to go on. What else do I say? I think that's probably about it. Oh, yes. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I am Clara Peggotty. I'll put it across the bottom. And on Ravelry, I am also Clara Peggotty. I'm also Clara Peggotty. I'm going to talk a little bit more about Ravelry later on in this episode. But basically, you can't really go wrong with Clara Peggotty to find me on. Well, I say all the things. I only really use Instagram. Okay, I'm not very good with Facebook. It doesn't float my boat. So yeah, Instagram is probably the best form of contacting me. Right. Okay, so on with the podcast. It's Thursday, the 20-something of May, and it's been very warm the last few days. Very, very warm. You see, I'm glowing a little bit, this glow. I have been sitting in the garden. Today I am wearing, and it's covered up for a good reason, the Ripple Bralette by Jessie May Designs. I'll put it across the bottom for you. This designer, she kind of came into the spotlight really last summer, and I made this. It's a ripple crop top. I'm not going to show you any more than that because it gets a bit indecent, but it's basically got, bra straps. As I was quite near the front of the queue when busts were handed out, so I had to knit I have to fidget with it, but for home in the garden it's great. So it's little strappy sleeves and it's cropped, so it comes just to about there, if you can see. Yarn is Spectrum Fibre. This is Bryony's yarn. Darn it, I can't remember what it's called because I knit this last year, but anyway, that's that. And it's nice just to slip on underneath the top. I actually bought this deliberately to wear over the Ripple Bralette, so I don't wear it a lot, but it's not warm enough to wear it a lot, to be honest. And as I say, I wouldn't wear it out. I just wear this at home, and that's just my choice. It's not that it's not wearable out. It's just I don't think the world deserves to see that, really, to be honest. But it's a fun pattern to knit. She's got a lot of designs actually that I should have chosen a slightly. There's one that's a ribbed t-shirty type top that's a lot better, and I think I probably should have knit that. When I was young, so much younger than today, yeah, in the 70s, there used to be a thing called skinny rib jumpers. Does anybody remember skinny rib jumpers? And they were really, really tight sweaters. And I was only, I don't know, sort of just under 10, somewhere around there. I always remember having a skinny rib sweater, and it was a mustard yellow, and it was really, really tight. But in those days, I was very little. They used to call me half pint at school. Believe that now. There you go. Got 6 pint at the moment. Excuse me. Oh, that reminds me as well. My cough is particularly bad this week, so I do apologise. I will try and quell it, but just so that you know, if you're new to the podcast, it's not a contagious cough. It's an asthmatic problem I have, and it gets worse than others sometimes. And I find it hard to not cough, because as you know with coughs, the more you try and not cough, the more you cough. Anyhow, enough of all that. So what's been going on? How's your week been going? Have you had a good week? I've had quite a good week. What did I say? Oh yes, you see the plankness stopped almost after I put up the last podcast. There was an issue the next day with some pond sludge and my back, but you know, you do things and you think, I can do that. Oh, I'll do that. It'll save anyone else doing it. Oh, I'll do that. I'm not going to wait for so-and-so to do it. Well, our pond has been a bit problematic. As you know, if you've watched the vlog, you know we've got a pond. It's a koi pond, but we don't have a couple of koi, but we've got a whole selection of fish. And there's kind of a bit to the left of it, which we call the Shire, which is, because I think hobbits live in it basically. And it's all, you know, bushy, planty stuff. And there's lots of ivy, and the ivy was growing down into the pond and in this little kind of waterfall thing we have. And sadly, over the last couple of weeks, we've lost about 3 of my lovely fish. Yep, and I did say the word lovely and fish in the same sentence. Love my fish. Died. And of course, you never know whether it's a problem with the water, whether they're just old, whether they were diseased. But we decided we'd, you know, try and get the water, make sure the water was okay. And there was a lot of ivy growing down this thing. So I thought, well, it's supposed to be flowing, which keeps the water aerated. So I climbed up the back of the Shire. Gary and Jonah were at the front sort of sorting things out. And I thought, oh, do you know what that needs doing? I'm just going to do it. It was one of those things when I got halfway and thought, this wasn't a good idea. So I'd climbed up in shorts, and there's all this like undergrowth and leaves and vines and prickly, horrible stuff. Anyway, I fought my way through to the edge of the pond, and I started pulling up this ivy, and it was disgusting. It was all sludgy because it had, you know, gone into the pond and it festered, and it was, ugh. Anyway, so I thought, no, I've done it. I've got yucky hands, but that's fine. At least this won't be going into the pond. And you know, making the water quality bad. So I then turned around to go back out, and I kind of fell. I kid you not, honestly, you wouldn't write this in a sitcom. I slipped. I really thought I was going over actually, and I thought I'm going to end up in hospital just in that millisecond, but I didn't. But as I fell and tried to be balanced myself, my hands kind of went like that, and of course they were holding the handfuls of sludgy ivy. So as I went like that, it all flew over and whipped me all down my back. And so when I finally got off, I said to Jen, was there anything on my back? And yeah, the back of my clothes were just covered in this green sludge. Yeah. Anyway, they went in the wash. It was fine. It was all up my legs. I did have to get in the bath and get clean, but the good news is the fish pond is good. It's recovered. We had our fish man come round The water quality was absolutely fine, so it wasn't that. So we don't know why the fish passed away, but they did. And as of today, we have adopted 6 more. Because we've got a large pond, and the guy who helps us and comes and cleans it out every year and all this sort of thing, he is a full-time fish person, and he goes around and does maintenance and things on people's ponds, and he rehouses or rehomes fish when people get fed up with them, or they don't want them in their pond, or they've grown too big and what have you. And a couple of times he's called us and said, is there any chance you could take a couple, you know, and we're like, yeah, fine, absolutely. And when he came round to clean out the pond the other day, he said he was rehousing a lady had bought, a couple of years ago, had bought 18 of these particular type of fish, and then decided that that was too many. No kidding. And did we want to take a few? So he came round this morning and we took 4. And then I said to him, oh, aren't they lovely? Yeah, he said, well, you can have more if you like. So we ended up taking 6. So we've got 6 new ones. They're 2 years old. They won't grow to a huge amount. They're not koi or anything like that. They're orfs, they're called, orfs. And they probably grow to about that long. So they've gone in and they are just getting used to it. And they go to the bottom of the pond, which is very, very deep. And they will stay around the bottom for a while until they feel comfortable, and then they will start integrating with all the others. So really, this is, I promise you, a knitting podcast. I'm not quite sure how. Oh, it was the ivy story, wasn't it? It was the sludgy ivy story. Let's have a sip of my tea. Right, so anyway, that's that. I've been making bread every day. I'm afraid I'm not a sourdough person. Gary doesn't like sourdough. And I have made it successfully, and I think I could, but it's not really for me. I have a bread machine, a bread maker, which, oh goodness, I had one years and years ago. I'm not going to go into that story. We'll be here all day, honestly. And so a few years back we got another one, and now I'm just making a loaf of bread every day, because with Gary home every day and Jonah back at the moment as well, then they're eating me out of house and home basically. So I've been doing that. Today though, I just made dough in the bread maker, and then I took it out, shaped it into baguettes and proved it and baked them off, and we had baguettes for lunch. I think that's really quite respectable, isn't it? What else have we got? I've bought some books. Perhaps I'll talk about that at the end. We need to go on to some knitting really, don't we? Yeah. Usually chat between about 10 and 15 minutes, don't I, at the beginning? My inane waffle. If this drops, if my cleavage gets too low, just shout at me and tell me to pull it up. But I will keep an eye on it. I'll put you off your breakfast. Okay, and then yes, at the end of today's episode, as I mentioned last week, we're going to have a book review, and I have invited young Hannah to come and talk to us about, I did say 2 books that are very different. One's a classic and one is, I don't know whether it's young adult fiction or I'm not sure, but they're very different anyway. So we'll be tagging that on to the end. So should we look at some knitting? About blooming time, you say. I'm sure I forget stuff. I'm sure I know I do. I do apologise if I forget stuff that I'm said I'm going to say and I don't, you know. A few people have said it's really nice having me round, having a cup of tea and a natter and a knit and a natter in their kitchen with them, which is lovely. I'm more than happy to sit opposite you and say, oh, look, postman's been, you got the postman coming. Oh, look at that, I like your curtains. Oh yeah. Oh, you're going to make me a coffee. Oh dear. Right, okay. Let's do some finished objects. I have finished objects. Yahoo! Should we start with some knitting? A knitting finished object, as I said last week, and I have been working very hard this week to get this done, and I have. And it is, and I'm gonna swoosh back on my wheels without going over Henry. It's my Paloma sweater. Da, 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 da. I haven't sewn in the ends and I haven't blocked it because it came off the needles a couple of days ago, and that's just, you know, where it stayed. Look at that. I wish you could touch this. It is absolutely adorable. I'm going to pop it on because give you an idea of length and all that. I won't leave it on for very long because obviously it's quite hot at the moment. So I did quite a tall turtleneck. So, oh, I'm wearing a me-made skirt as well. There you go. So there you go. I have to do that stupid thing then, don't I? So it's fairly oversized. I did it to just below, that's my natural waist there. So I did it to just below there, which is pretty much as the pattern said, I think. You can see at the back, there's short row shaping at the back to make it the back a bit longer. I don't know whether that looked longer or not. And then I'm going to come in and you can then see there's these tram lines, these ribbed, and it's all twisted rib. So all of this and all of this and this is twisted rib. I didn't come in, you cast off or you do the rib on the sleeves the same needle size as you do the stockinette, so it doesn't draw it in, and I actually like that. And the length of the sleeves, I must admit I didn't judge it very well, but they're actually perfect. It's a little bit shy of wrist length, just a little bit, but being quite wide, I think that works. So I absolutely love this. And also, of course, you could just roll that down like that if you didn't want it right up like that. Can you see the yarns? Oh, and it's just lovely. I have got, let me grab for you. I've got a skein of this left. So I used for this, so I should have said tonight, this is the Paloma sweater by Espace Tricot, the lovely French-Canadian ladies. There's a whole series of sweaters like this. There's Turtle Dove and then there's Paloma, so they're all based around doves. I don't know why I did that. I think I was just showing you. Anyway, I used this yarn from La Bien-Aimée, one of my most indulgent purchases, I have to say, from last year. These are merino singles. That's better, isn't it? And that's in the, so that's, well, merino single is going to be merino, isn't it? And in the Pêche Mignon colourway. So there you go. And it's beautiful. And I held that double with some undyed Suri alpaca and silk. So it's one of those alternatives to mohair that people are using. State of this, what's going on with my hair? And it's so soft. So I bought, I'm just going to take this off now, if you don't mind. I bought some undyed. I did mention in the original podcast when I talked about it. Oh, okay, sort myself out. Yeah, I bought 4 skeins of undyed floof Suri alpaca silk. I don't know what I've done with my project bag. Oh, it's in the other room. Yeah, sorry. I've got a little bit, I've got about 3/4 or maybe half a skein left on the cake of the Suri alpaca silk. And I've got not much left caked up and a whole skein, but I had 5 of these. So it's taken about 4. And I think that's the requirement for the pattern. And you can see as it knits up. And you see, now obviously the undyed alpaca silk yarn has very much muted the peachiness, but it just gives it this overall warm kind of peachy glow. And then you can see the teal pops and the sort of They're sort of browny purple pops as well. It's honestly, it's such, I can see me wearing this so much in the winter, provided we get some cold weather. So yeah, so Paloma sweater. Did I have anything else from it? Because obviously I write it down now on my little record card. So that was the record card that I created. That's there, you can see the fleece there. They're the samples of the yarn that I used to knit it. And then, that's the wrong one. I've turned over 2 pages. Okay, size 4.5mm needles. Yeah, that's about all that I made the note of there on my notes. And that is that. Bish bash bosh. Paloma sweater. Everybody should knit it. You should all knit it. It's such a nice knit as well. It's really straightforward. Top down. There you are, just adjusting there. So yeah, very, very, very happy with that. I'm going to make another one. I have got some other fingering weight yarn from I made the Arwen sweater by Isabel Kramer a couple of years ago, and I used Olen, beautiful Olen fingering weight yarn, and I didn't really like the sweater on me, and I kept it for about a year, and it just wasn't right for me. It didn't suit me, so I have sort of semi-frogged it. I need to frog a bit more, but I will have enough of that to knit another Paloma, and I may well get some lilac, because it's lilac and black speckled. I might get some lilac Suri alpaca, possibly, who knows. But I have got my eye on quite a few of the Espace Tricot patterns. So that's that one. My next finished object is an item of weaving. If you follow me on Instagram, you will have seen it probably. Last week, if you remember, I was weaving a cushion out of self-striping yarn. Well, I was weaving fabric that I had intended to sew into a cushion cover. So, I made pom-poms and all the bits there. So that's the yarn I used. And that's Stormy Rainbow by Giddy Yarns. That's Helen, who I think I said to you last week is a lovely friend. She was a Socks on the, or is a Socks on the Beach friend. I finished weaving the fabric. I used a sort of a charcoal grey yarn for the warp. I used Helen's striping yarn on the weft. And here's my finished object. Da, 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 da. Yay! So you can see with Helen's stripes, you've got a broader stripe of grey, and then you've got blue, purple, no, you've got red, yellow, green, blue and purple. I'm looking at it, it goes back this way, this side, whereas yours goes that side. And then I topped it off for a bit of fun. I made a pom-pom and sewn it, well, attached it to each corner. They're actually removable. You can untie those if you want to wash the cover. And then I put a zip in the bottom. And there we have it. A Stormy Rainbow cushion. Really thrilled with this. This is for someone else. This is a gift for a friend who I think needs a bit of a gift and a cheer up. And I know she loves this yarn. So that's going to her. So yeah, I think Helen dyes up this colourway. I wouldn't do it in socks. I'm not a great grey fan. We've talked about this before, haven't we? I've had I've had the opposite of this. I can't think what she called it. It was rainbow, but instead of the grey, it was a bright blue. So it was sort of sunny rainbow. And I made shorty socks for my Hannah for last year for Christmas. So I have knit that, and Helen's yarns, oh, you have it that way. do come up beautifully. So yeah, there you go. And you can just about see the structure of the weaving there. So that's turned out really well, really pleased with that. Which is just as well, because it's mine. Well, it's not mine, I made it. Right, you'll also remember that last week I had been spinning. I use an Ashford e-spinner, and I had got the urge to spin some yarn to knit myself a sweater, particularly with the popularity of spin cycle yarns where it's dyed in the wool. I don't know, do forgive me if you already know this, but dyed in the wool is different to your normal hand dyed yarn. So most of the time when yarn is dyed, it's already yarn. It's already in the format of yarn. So the fibres have been spun and twisted, and that's where you get the undyed skeins, like we're used to seeing with our hand dyed yarns, and then the dye is added to that. When something is dyed in the wool, it means that the fibre is dyed first and then it's spun. And you can never, well, actually very talented spinners can manipulate the fibre to get the colours they want in the yarn. But for the most part, dyed in the wool means you get much more of a blend of colours. So for example, the colour I've got, or the fibre I've got on my spinning wheel now is this beautiful stuff. So, you know, predicting how that's going to look when it's spun up really depends on the draw, how you spin this as an individual spinner, and then how it's plied, whether you're 2-plied, 3-plied, and so on. So yeah, dyed in the wool. So when you see the spin cycle yarn that's called dyed in the wool, that's because they do their arty bit, they're dyeing at this stage rather than dyeing it after it's been made into yarn. Anyway, that was a bit of a science lesson. Science lesson, was it? But anyway, so the yarn I was spinning, or the fibre I was spinning last time, you'll remember, because I've got my little card here, it was from the Shepherd's Hut, and it was this colour here. So it was, oh, I don't need to go quite so close, do I? It's 100% Polwarth, and 100 grams I had, and I was aiming to spin a fairly consistent worsted weight yarn because I was thinking about using it to make a coivre. I think that's what it's called. I always forget, don't I? So, and I can show you, I'll show you the back of my spinning card in just a moment. I used my Ashford e-spinner. I'm unable to use a traditional wheel because I have a back problem, lower back, and a right leg problem. So to treadle for any length of time would not be conducive to my health. So we, a few years back now, bought an e-spinner just when they were coming out, and it's wonderful. And look what I got. This is that yarn. And look at that. I am absolutely thrilled with this yarn. And I washed it in Tuft Woolen soap. Absolutely gorgeous. My whole room smells of it now. It's wonderful. But can you see, when we were talking about dyed in the wool, where it's plied, you can see all the different colours have twisted together. These are just where I've tied the skeins together. Oh, I love this. I'm so happy with this. There is a honking great big irony here. It's sport weight. I have never managed to spin such a fine yarn as this. This is the first time I've actually nailed a fine yarn. So it's heavy fingering, light sport weight. I got 377 yards. Actually, that's more of a fingering weight, isn't it? Yeah. So there you go. Can't believe I got that much because I got 377 yards, 354 meters of that for 100 grams. Plus I had a little bit left over on the bobbins, which I set as singles. So I've also got that mini skein of singles that I'm keeping as well, because I may well use that in a shawl project if I need a small amount. So yeah, that was my thing. So if I show you once again, yeah, there we go. So if you look, that was the original fibre, and that's what we got. Now what I've done on my record card now then is I've added a sample of the yarn that I spun, and then on the back you can see I filled out, should have really put that. Can you see, what did I put? Hoping to use in a worsted weight colourwork sweater. So yeah, here I'm saying I was aiming for a worsted weight sweater. This is what I got. My e-spinner the day. Oh, I need to put it when I finished it. So yeah, as I say, I'm, apart from the fact I was aiming for a heavier yarn, I'm thrilled to bits because there are quite a few sweaters out there now that use, thanks to Spin Cycle, that kind of fingering sport weight yarn in colourwork, and I think this will be wonderful to go in a colourwork project. Very happy with that. So that's another finished object. Okay, that's all the finished objects I've got for you for now. I'm going to have a sip of tea. I've got delivery coming today, but hopefully it won't come whilst we're chatting. So yeah, as I've said, with the spinning, this is my current spin in progress. My sip. Which again is really lovely. I only started spinning yesterday with that, so that's sitting again just down here on my desk, which is so full of stuff. It's unbelievable. Right, shall we move on to works in progress? Right, first of all, we'll say hello to an old friend, because this is one you haven't seen for a couple of weeks. This is in my Bird Street UK project bag, my llamas and my alpacas. Excuse me. Those of you who watched from the beginning may remember that I was making the Moonwake cowl by Andrea Mowry. I'm sure that do I need to show you a picture? I will show you, because I actually have this in colour. If you remember, I had to get Gary to print it because I was trying to knit the colourwork chart in black and white. When I laugh, I cough. So there you go. Really, really pretty. And it's the Moonwake by Andrea Mowry. Dre Renee knits, and I was knitting it from stash, but unfortunately I needed more. I was using Knit Picks Wool of the Andes that I had in stash, but I knew that I wouldn't have enough. I knew it was going to be tight, because although she says 50-gram balls, the 50-gram balls of the Wool of the Andes had slightly less yardage. So I ordered some more several weeks ago, and obviously with lockdown and everything, the Knit Picks, it normally comes from Europe to the UK, I think, but we had to wait for it to come from America. So the colours I am using, I think I talked about this on my vlogs as well. So those are the colours. Very happy with that as well. I wasn't looking at the camera then, was I? Sorry. I did have to get one of these. This one is swish worsted. They didn't have this colour in the Wool of the Andes, which is the Peruvian Highland wool. So this is merino, but you know, whatevs. And so I've now picked this up again, and I have made some more progress. Look at that. I don't know if any of you watch Cherie, Ollie and Bella. She's also making this. When she held hers up, I don't think she could fit it in one screen. So look at that, how gorgeous. Oh, I can't see you. Hello. Is that, I'm so pleased. This was, literally was a stash dive. And I picked those colours out and I think they are fabulous. And that's where I'd got to last time I showed this because I was running low on the yarn. So I've just done this section. I'm on the final pattern repeat. So there. So you can just about get that in screen. Just up to that bit there, up to the top of the screen. So I've just got another load of that, another repeat of that to do. And then this is one where you twist it and graft it, and it's a cowl. And it'll be super thick. I mean, this wool is, I think I've raved about it last time, didn't I? It's so gorgeous and it's cheap as chips. And it's natural, it's a natural wool. I mean, you know, win-win. What do I need to say? Winner. Salad dinner. Because we've had chicken dinner, we had black bean dinner last week, and this week we'll go vegetarian, winner salad dinner. There you go. Don't I just talk a whole load of nonsense? But yeah, so you've got this, isn't it, in the round, so there's no purling. So if you're not convinced, if you're not totally confident on colour work, it's a good one because nobody's going to see inside and there's no purling and nobody will see the ends. So that's another thing. Andrea Mary suggests you can carry the yarn up the inside. I'm not a great fan of that because I get concerned that if, for example, I don't know, say if you're carrying up the black from there up to there, it's quite a big jump and you'd have to leave quite a decent, generous amount of yarn. So I just cut it off. And to be honest, if you're using a woolly wool, and I think I talked about this last week, so forgive me if I'm repeating myself, but it will felt in. You wouldn't even really, would you have to sew it in? I'm not going to say that either way. Strictly speaking, it will felt in over time, even when you wash it the first time when you block it. But I'm happy to sew those ends in. Doesn't bother me. I'm a real man. No, because no, I don't know where that came from. I do apologise. Yeah, I can't even make something up about why I said that. I should really cut it out, but I'm not going to. Right, so Moonwake. This is a Christmas present for my dad because he's supremely knit worthy. Excuse me. He loves knitted socks and sweaters. He wants me to knit him a sweater and I still haven't got around to it. I have knit him a sweater before. So he's getting a cowl this year. I also got some more colours to make one of these for my mum for Christmas. But I'm not going to show you the colours at the moment, partly because they're behind there somewhere. I'll put them on. And partly because I have got a lot of other stuff to show you. So we can keep that until next time. So that's one of my works in progress. I'm going to be putting some time in that. I would have loved to have had that finished to show you, but it just wasn't to be because I was doing lots of other things, as you do when you are obsessed with all this biz. Right, I'm looking around. Socks. Sockety socks. Sockety socks. Who says that? Oh, clearly I do. This is the self-striping ball of yarn from down Sheepy Lane that I told you last week I couldn't remember the name of. I really must ask Debbie what the colourway is. I love it. Absolutely love this. And this was my experiment on mini circs, if you remember, and this is how I'm getting on. It's really nice. It's such, look at that. I think that is really, really pretty. And I'm doing well. I'm using higher bamboo mini circs. They're on a 9-inch cable, I guess. They are fixed. And I know we spoke last week, I said about getting the chalgoos, which I probably will. I just haven't got around to it. And I wanted to know if I was happy enough generally knitting on mini silks before I bought some more. That said, oh look, there's a bit of cleavage going on there. You didn't tell me. That said, I have ordered some new needles this week, which are kind of mini sock needles, but they're not flexi flips. These are called higher flyers, I think, and yeah, they intrigue me. I saw an ad. I follow Fig Tree Yarns, as you know, because I get some of my yarn from there. Hospital car park yarn, if you remember. And I had been planning to buy, there was a yarn purchase I wanted to make for a sweater I've had my eye on for a while. And again, I won't talk about that at the moment. But also Imogen, who owns Fig Tree Yarns, did an Instagram story where she showed these flyers, and I thought they looked actually quite intriguing. So I've ordered a set of those. So when they come next week, I'll show you what they are. So I'm going to use those first. I'll not lie, I was tempted to order a set of chalgoo mini silks from Millie today at Tribe Yarns, because they're doing the I Knit 7 extravaganza this week. Most of you probably know about that, where there's 7 yarn stores doing various different discounts and offers each day this week. And you know, if I'm going to buy from a store things like needles that Millie stocks, then I'll buy from her, because obviously she's a friend and I like to support the shop. That said, I keep saying that this week, don't I? That said, I'm just going to knit with these. I'll try the higher flyers, and we'll go from there. I think I probably will get some chalgoo minis. I'm enjoying this. I tell you, the reason it's not on that much is that I'm only just getting to the point where I can knit without looking. I do feel I still need to look at what I'm doing, but I'm much more comfortable doing this than I thought I would be. So yeah, and as I say, the yarn, I want to knit this more. I want to get on with that. Now my Paloma's finished. That was the biggest thing that I was working on, that was stockinette. So actually those socks should come along quite nicely. Last pair of socks to show you, and I'm only going to show you this briefly, are my Soul Sister socks. And I've turned the heel. Yay! On the first one. Get a tangle in this. So that's Soul Sister socks by Jules and Amy. So Sweet Violet and Taylor S Studio. I don't say it that way. So that's where I was last week, and so I've put the heel on. And as I said I was going to do, it's the Fish Lips Kiss heel, and I've done it in the same yarn, the Life in the Long Grass contrast yarn there. So yeah, super pleased with that. I've done a bit of work on the second one. If you remember, I was knitting these 2 at a time on the same needles, and then I split them. So I'm sort of there on the second one. So I'll just poodle away at those. There's no great rush. They're for me, and I'm enjoying the knitting. I've got the pattern memorized now, so there's no great, I think I told you about this project bag, one of my all-time favorites that I made. I wove this out of Shetland yarn, and that's me. I have talked about that, haven't I? Because I talked about the pins on it. Forget all these things. Right, okay. The other one more work in progress to share with you, in my Made by Rachel project bag. Look at that, so pretty. Some of you have contacted me, and I think I've responded about finding Rachel's Etsy shop, because this is where I get my little hexie pieces, my pre-cut hexie pieces from Rachel. And I will put a link here. The best thing is Etsy, the search engine on Etsy is really quite rubbish. So the best thing is to Google "Made by Rachel," and if you scoot down, there's a few other Made by Rachels on the interwebs, but you will find her Etsy shop, and it's all one word, Made by Rachel, and yep, she has these lovely project bags, and she makes the pre-cut hexie squares. That's clever, isn't it? What you can't see is that Honey has now decided to lick my feet. She's laying down next to my chair, licking my feet. I don't like it. I keep moving my foot and then she keeps inching forward to keep licking. Stop. See how long that lasts. Anyway, yes, Rachel, Made by Rachel on Etsy. And I've shot myself in the foot. We'll talk about that when we talk about the hexies, because of course everybody's going to be wanting her beautiful hexies now, and I'm not going to get a look in. I should get first dibs. Right, new cast on. I haven't done the back of my card. I've got it on there. It's the Hummingbird Shawl by Anna Joanna. We talked about it last time. I wasn't sure, I don't think, of the colours. I think I was going to use the Hedgehog Fibre yarns when I spoke to you. First cut is a 3-colour shawl. I have at no expense. I did show you this again last week, but I don't know, people show things more than once, don't they? That's the shawl, which is an absolute knockout. And I made a start on it. I think last week I'd started and I was, making a pig's ear of it, as you do. But I have progressed this week. Look at that. Oh, come on. Now, there you go. So it's kind of a teardrop shape. That's better, that's it. So you start in the middle, you're coming out. I've just done this bit, which is brioche, that's it, all the way around the outside, and increasing. That was a bit pigging, increasing my brioche. And now I'm back to stockinette, and I will and increasing, and I will be shortly introducing the second colour. And I think we're getting to the point where I'm going to be binding off one side of this, but we do come back to it, so I'm not quite sure about that. It's so intriguing. My other two colours, and I think I didn't confirm this last week, so the next colour is going to be that one by Emily from the yarn Priory. So that's going to go there, like that. That's the one, the poppy colour with the variegation. This is her colourway Sonnet. That's and then my third colour is going to be that one, and that's Isabel. The colour is Isabel by Yoshi and Lucy. No, it's not. Sorry, that's her sock line is called Isabel. It must be, and the colourway is Pinkie Pie. Look, if I show you the label, it's easiest. There. So, and I just felt they just called to me. They absolutely called to me. What a beautiful light bright combination they're going to be. So we've got Madeline Tosh, can't remember the colourway, Yarn Priory in Sonnet, and Yoshi and Lucy Pinkie Pie. And they each special. These two are really, really special to me because this is from my dear friend Emily, and this was the one of the ones I bought at Nitty City when Hannah and I went to New York last year. So they have very special memories, and I'm so loving this construction. Really, really love that. So yeah, that's that work in progress. Oh, they're not wound yet. I'm getting to the point when I'm going to have to cake up the next colourway. But I'll do that. So, and little segue in a moment into the record cards, because I've got that. I am going to decorate the front, as it's called the hummingbird shawl. I think there might be some hummingbird stuff going on there. Right, good, excellent. What's next? Oh, have a little breather, a little rest, stretch your legs. Are you doing the washing up? At least this might take away a bit of the pain, or maybe you're knitting and relaxing. Or maybe you kind of keep having to stop it and go and do things. Yeah, that sucks too, doesn't it? But having said that, at least you don't have to rewatch adverts every time you come back to me. Right, moving on. Do you want to know about my new cast on that I'm going to do this week? My new cast on. I think I did, well, I know I spoke to you a while ago about, sorry, that's Honey again. She's clearly going to be the troublemaker this week. You can see a little tail down there. She's jumped upon the settee now. I spoke to you about, I showed you a cardigan that I was going to get Mum to frog because Mum likes ripping out yarn. She's absolutely fine with that. I ripping out sweaters. And this is, I had 3 skeins of one colourway and 2 skeins of another complementary colourway that I bought from Skein Queen when I was at Edinburgh Yarn Festival last year. And this is a swatch, so this gives you an idea of it's really, really pretty. And that's her CMYK colourway, which is the it's the printer ink. I know it's magenta, yellow, black. Don't know what the C is. Is it cerise? Can't remember. Anyway, that's the colourway. It's really pretty, and the contrast colour is this blue, and I'm sorry, I've lost the label. I can't remember what the blue was called. Anyway, I didn't like the sweater that I knitted up. I'd knit about half of it actually. So Mum has frogged all this, and I am going to use that to make the floral party top by Abby Knits, which I have here. And I have done a record card already for this. So there you go. Look, it's floral. So I put flowers on. And I put my little swatch of yarn. So you can see basically it's the same designer as made the party top. So it's a very straightforward raglan sweater. But with this one, the difference is that you've got the contrasting colour sleeves. Actually got a bigger. There you go. This is the pattern. Oh, and that's her details there. So that is what I'm going to be making. So I'm all set. She suggests 4 inches of negative ease. Well, as I said before, I'm not sure about the whole negative ease biz. So I've gone for an exact measurement of my bust size. Knowing that, oh, a bit of the side of my mouth then. Knowing that, you know, it will be a comfortable ease. Even if it is a little bit negative, that's fine at that size. I know what I mean. Yeah. Anyway, floral party top. That's what I'm going to be casting on. So that's cool. I talked about my fire, but shall we talk about some patchwork? I think that'd be cool. Oh, I just kicked the dog, sorry. That's the other dog, that's Henry, who's being very good to sit quietly under there. So we spoke about my English paper piecing obsession, didn't we? Was it an obsession last time? And these wonderful pre-cut, that's Henry. Because I said he was being good, he's now going to make a noise. So I've been buying, or I bought a couple of these pre-cut little packs of Hexie fabrics from Rachel Jarvis, who is made by Rachel on Etsy, and she sells, you get 50. I showed you a whole load. This is a new set that I managed to snag during her last update. they're so pretty. Anyway, I won't go through all of those. I showed quite a lot last week, didn't I think? Or I might have, I can't remember. I know I did on Instagram. And she also sends you a pack of 50 of the paper inners. And I had armed myself with a glue pen, a fabricy one. And I sat in the garden on Saturday and I glue basted all these X's. So virtually the whole pack I did. I hadn't, I've got a few left over from this pack, but I did these. It was so therapeutic sitting out in the garden, just doing that. It was lovely. In fact, I think I even put a podcast on so that I could watch that. This colour, I love that kind of periwinkle colour. Absolutely adore that. So I got all those glued. I then watched, I follow Melanie Traylor, Traylor possibly, and she is, I'll put it across the bottom, Southern Quilting or something. I'm so sorry, I can't remember. I will find out and I'll put it along the bottom here. Anyway, she has a blog and tutorials, and oh, she does the most amazing quilts. And she put up a series of blog posts which included YouTube tutorials on whip stitching, and I thought, well, I'll just, and I'm glue basting. So I thought, well, I can certainly spend a couple of minutes looking at that before I jump right in, which is what I normally do. So I did. It was what I thought it was going to be, the whip stitching together, but she had a few tips about joining yarn and so on. So I got my needle out and look what I've done. Hooray! Look how beautiful are they. Now, if you're the sort of person that likes order and specific patterns, then this might not be for you. But I am deliberately doing these completely randomly because I don't know where my next lot of fabric is going to come from. I don't know how many of these I'll be able to get. I don't know, whatever. So I'm just enjoying the process at the moment of just picking one up and adding it on. That one's a little bit bent because I haven't done the edge ones yet. So then there's the back. You'll see I've left a lot of the cotton hanging because I haven't finished yet. Now, who was it? I did make a note of it. Magdalena asked me about English paper piecing, and I know a lot of you, gosh, I look at this and I can see straight away the very first one I did because the join is slightly more visible. The rest of my joins are pretty invisible. She was asking about English paper piecing. To be honest, I don't know an awful lot about it. I believe that you put the paper in behind the fabric, because actually to try and whip stitch two of these little floppy hexes together would be quite awkward and quite fiddly. Whereas if you fix them with paper, then it gives them a bit of structure, and then you sew them together, and then at the end you can take the paper out. I'm presuming that the glue will either dissolve in the wash or you'll be able to pull. Oh yeah, I could do it now actually. You can just take it out. So, and then you've got everything sewn and structured. So that's kind of where I'm at with how English paper piecing works. So you simply wrap the fabric over the template so you've got your shape. Now you've got a hexie there, and then you fold over and you join along the back there, and you just build up as you go along, and then at the end you literally just take out these bits of paper, and then you would quilt it or whatever you're going to do with it. So does that help, Magdalena? I hope so. I am going to be setting up a thread, pardon the bun, in a Ravelry group, which I'm going to talk about in a moment. so we can chat about that there as well, which will be helpful. But in any event, there you go. Absolutely beautiful. I love that one. I love that one. I love the hare giving the strawberry to the deer. Yeah, it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So yeah, that's how I'm getting on. I just pick that up and do a few every now and then. To be honest, I'd do more, but I'm very focused on also getting my knitting done to split my time evenly. Right, so that's my patchwork. Okay, 2 more things to talk about. How are we doing? We're all right, we're an hour, we're okay. First of all then, let's talk about Ravelry. Oh, she says, falling backwards off her chair. I've been umming and ahhing about setting up a Ravelry group for the podcast. Thank you. Somebody just shouted, pull up your top. So I am. Yeah, as I say, I only recently went back on Ravelry. I've been off it for a while. And I've been racking my brains to think of a way of sort of having a group chat other than what we can do on YouTube and also Instagram. I'm not a great Facebook fan. I don't work well on Facebook, mostly because I forget a lot of the time to even look on Facebook, which is a bit rubbish, especially if I'm running a group. It's no good. So, and I spoke to a couple of people and said, I don't know, are there too many Ravelry groups, you know, people fed up with having them, whatever. And she said that she thought it would be a good idea because I'm quite interactive, proactive. We've got lots of different things going on, lots of crafting, and to give it a try. And if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. It's fine. We haven't lost anything, have we? Plus, if there's some, we've been chatting about other stuff, about some make-alongs and some different project threads. I'd love to put a book review thread in there. So I think it would be really useful. So I have set up a Ravelry group. So it's called Sheep and Cheerful Podcast. I've just got it set up today, so it's up and running. If you would like to search for that on Ravelry, actually I'll put a link down below for it. At the moment, the only chatter thread I've got in there is by way of an introduction. So if you would like to join in and chat and, you know, become part of this little community a bit more, then do join in. Just say, you know, you don't have to give us your inside leg measurement. You don't even have to tell us how old you are. It doesn't matter. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's a leveler. We're all on a level playing field. If you're interested in just chatting, if you're interested in doing make-alongs, if you're interested in the book side of things, come along and check it out. I am usually fairly proactive in Ravelry groups. I've moderated a couple of groups before and it's been great. So come over and join if you would like to. It's, again, as any space that I manage, it will be cheerful, positive, hopefully uplifting, little piece of the internet where we can all go and share enthusiasm and cheery things about the stuff we love to do. So yeah, Sheep and Cheerful Podcast group on Ravelry. Come over and join in, and I may well put some more threads up. Well, I will. I'll see how we go. If we only get 2 people join, I might actually, do you know what? If 2 people join, let's do it for 2 people. Hey, I think we will have to do some sort of make along. I'm thinking of doing a challenge yourself along. We talked about Untitled and various other techniques, so I might put that in there. And as I say, there'll definitely be, I think there'll be a thread for English paper piecing, because I know some of you out there are very experienced in doing it, and we could all do with picking your brains, those of us who are just starting out right now. Excuse me a second. Oh. Henry was pushing against my foot and I couldn't quite work out what he was doing. So yeah, it'll be great. It'll be great. Come on over, come and chat. And I think groups like that are great. You have to kind of make a conscious decision to invest in them, rather than being just you know, oh, I joined that group, I joined that group. But you know, if you can come and give a little bit of yourself to the group and to chat, and to get to know the other people in the group as well, because that's really one of the things I'd love to do, then let's do it. Let's see how it goes. Wow, that's really brave of me to actually do that. It's like, did you ever used to be really afraid of having a party when you were younger because you think nobody's going to turn up? Or is that just my insecurities? I still wouldn't. I'm still afraid. When I started Socks on the Beach, I was really worried that nobody would turn up. But that worked out okay, so we're all right. Anyway, yes, Ravelry group, check it out. I'd love for you to come over and join in the chat there. If you're not on Ravelry, then obviously no worries. Carry on chatting down below here, or reach out on Instagram, or sort of stuff like that. That's absolutely fine. I appreciate that not everybody's on Ravelry, and so when we do things, I will try and be fully inclusive with the YouTube feed as well as with the Ravelry group, so you won't be left out, you won't miss out stuff. Okay, right, so I'm just looking down, gosh, got myself dizzy there. Okay, can I talk to you now just for a little bit about the record cards that I've been working on, the concept idea of the record cards. As you'll know, if you have watched the last couple of podcasts, I've been working on the idea of creating a set of record cards which you can individually keep with your projects. And then when the project is finished, you put together in, sorry, I was fidgeting with that hand and I just realised it was on camera. That's so professional of me. Not. Now the dog's making a noise. That's you. Oh, he's just looking up at me from under the desk. You settle down, darling. Good boy. Yeah, so when I showed you the, so basically, oh, I've got this is what I came up with. So for each project you make, you have one of these. You complete it as you go. You tuck that into your project bag. Then when it's finished, you put it with a, I'm sorry, they're walking about now. It's probably nearly 4 o'clock because that's when they start getting hungry. Yeah, you put it on a, in a central folder, and then you've got a record. But the point is, if you keep this in your project bag as you go, then you can make notes on it. You've always got something to write on then in your bag. If you change needle size, or if you lose count of something, just use it as a piece of scrap paper. Excuse me a second, honey. Settle down. No. Oh, she's doing her playful thing now. Stop. Go and get on the settee. Go on, up you get. Up there. Go on. Good girl. I should probably throw her bone on the floor now just to be naughty. So when you saw, for example, I think I showed you, so this was my cup of tea mitts. I wrote in there, I attach a piece of the yarn I use somewhere on the card, because I like that, it's tactile. And then on the front of the card, I put a decoration of some sort. This one, I put the pattern that I'd spilt, cup of tea, ironically, and the ball band from the yarn. With my Paloma sweater, you saw, I just put a picture of the sweater and decorated it a little bit. And then for, oh, where's the one? Oh, you saw for the spinning one. The spinning cards are slightly different to the knitting cards, but I just tagged. So you've basically got all your information in one place. And so when you finish the project, whether it's spinning, weaving, knitting, crochet, sewing, you just clip it onto what I have made now is a little book. So you've got 2 loose ring binders. I made a front page here. Did I mention that I also like to, or I also love to ... And I've actually put dividers here. So I've got knit, weave, spin, crochet, and I'm going to put some more there. So I have been working on these a bit more this week because I'm quite excited about the idea, to be honest. And I know some of you reached out and said you were too, and that you were quite keen to either download the template or to buy some packs of ready-made ones. So I have put together both options for you. And at the moment, I'm just looking at the knitting ones. I'm not done the spinning or the sewing or the weaving or the crochet ones yet, but I will do. I have created some outer covers. I have printed off and cut a whole load of project cards, and I've done them on plain white card, and I have done them on brown craft card. Now you'll see these are punched on the right hand side, so that actually these bits you're looking at is the back of the card, and the plain bits are the front, because that's where you put your decoration or your ball bands or your pattern pictures or whatever. So I've done a whole load of those. Now these are, I should also say, these are completely handmade by moi. They're not machine made in any way, shape or form. So I've designed the template, I print them out and I cut them up with my little guillotine and I put them all together. So don't expect, factory made excellence. You can expect handmade excellence. So there's those. And I have made some little covers. So what I, excuse me. So it says My Little Book of Big Makes, because I thought that was quite cute. So I have done the artwork. I've made them to look like a bit of a book. And then you've got the back cover there. So I've done that one. I've done that one, Created to Create. You'll see my Christian influence here. A couple of those. That one has got red and yellow. We've got green, Pray, Create, Repeat. My Little Book of Big Makes. So I have made 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got 8 of these all made and ready to go, into which I will put 10 record cards and sell them as sets in my Etsy shop. I've only done 8 because I have no idea. I have no idea how well these will go down, whether, I know, a lot of people have said they like the idea. So I thought, well, I'll make some, we'll do it. I'll dip my toe in the water. We'll try it. And then if they sell, then I can make some more. What you will get if you buy a set, this is one I've made for a friend, and this is what yours will be like. So you'll have the cover that you have chosen. Okay, the back cover, you'll have your 2 rings inside here. I decorated that, I won't show you what that is. You'll have an index, and then you will have 10 record cards, and I will probably alternate the brown and the white, so you'll have 10 of those. And I'm going to put that set like that into my Etsy shop for £5, because then that covers my materials basically. It's just a bit of fun, and it'll be interesting to see if other people find them handy or as excited about them as I am, because I'm very excited about them. Yeah, so there'll be 8 of these going into my Etsy shop probably Friday evening, Friday sometime, just at £5, plus I think the postage is £1.25 or something, but I'll find out. Along with that, I will also give you the download of the template to make more cards, because I'm not in this to make loads of money. So that's the template. So in case you wanted to just make your own cards and not have to buy them, you can download the template and print that off as many times and cut it up into 4, basically. If you don't want to buy the set, but you quite fancy using the cards, what I said I wanted to do was just give everybody the template. I can't yet work out where I can put this. I was hoping I could put it in the Ravelry group for everybody to download who wanted it, but there isn't a place as yet. So I'm going to put this in my Etsy shop, and I'm just going to charge £1 because to put it in Etsy, I think I have to charge something for it. And it's one-off, obviously, because then you can print it as many times as you like. It's fine. So I will put that alone as an option, a digital download, and you can download that. I'm sorry that it's going to be charged for. If I can get away with charging 50p, then I will. I'm not sure what the fees on Etsy, you know, the last thing I want to do is put it on and then end up me paying for the privilege of giving it to everybody. Because I'm generous, but I'm not stupid, you know. But if you buy one of these sets, one of these ones with the covers and all the printing done, you'll also get that included as the download. I think it makes sense. Do you think that's fair? So if you do want those, do have a look, and I'd appreciate feedback on those. If you like them and if they're popular, then I will set about putting the spinning ones up as well, and also some crochet ones and various other ones. I've got some other ideas. And just to show you as well how mad you can go, I also made this one. I was going to put these in the shop as well, but it's quite a lot of work. Excuse me. So I have actually quilted that. That's, you see it's wadding, that's soft there. But it's really cute. And then I've zigzag stitched all the way round. And then you've got the back as well. And then I would like to make some more of these because I think these are fantastic, these cloth covered ones. But again, if people are interested, or if you would like a cloth one or one of those, then just let me know and we'll see how we go. It may be that nobody wants them and I end up keeping all 8. That's fine. I love using mine. I love this. This is quite battered and tatty, but I'm sticking with this one. And obviously, as you get more cards here, then you can buy, these are 1 inch rings. You can get 2 inch and what have you, so that this could become really chunky. And it's just one. And for those of us who have a bajillion knitting journals and you never end up keeping them up to date, this is great because you just keep the individual cards with your projects and it kind of perpetuates it. Anyway, feels like a sales pitch. It wasn't a sales pitch. I just want everybody to use them because I think they're really good. We'll see. Excuse me. We will see. Right. I think I will probably stop there. As usual, there were other bits and pieces I've got here that I was going to talk to you about, but I think probably 1 hour and 20 minutes is enough for the moment. We've got the book review section coming up, which will be fun. I'm going to probably go and make a cup of tea and then get a hand down and we will record that together. So if you're not going to watch the book review, then thank you very much for joining us for this sort of crafting segment. I hope you've seen some interesting bits and bobs and you've had some ideas. I hope you're going to think about joining the Ravelry group, and I hope you're going to think about, trying the Knitters record cards because, just do, I guess. I keep saying I hope, but I'm going to say it again. I hope you have a good week. Have you finished the washing up yet? Or the cooking? Or the cleaning? Yeah, it's because you sat down at that middle bit, isn't it? That you didn't think I saw that. I know you sat down and put your feet up. Oh my goodness, right. I have got a Sainsbury's shop to do online as well, which is one of my least favourite things to do. I have to go and feed these hounds too. So for all of those who are not bibliophiles, I think that's the right name, I will love you and leave you and see you all next week. For those of you who are interested in hearing more of my chat, but with mini me as well, being my daughter, Who's not actually mini me, she's taller than me, but there you go. Hang on in there, stretch your legs again. I'm going to go and get my cuppa, call my daughter, and we will be back in just a moment. So, as usual, I've got my boy Henry, Honey's there, and Hannah's here. Oh, Henry's not happy with that. So I asked Hannah, because she is, I said bibliophile, that's right, isn't it?
Bibliophile?
Yeah. We're both bibliophiles. We both love reading, love books. Hannah is pretty fond of the classics. Like me, not as widely read as me, obviously. But
I've read my fair share of Shakespeare.
Yeah, she does read Shakespeare. But I recently recommended to her, and I think I recommended to everybody, to read The Tenant of Wildfell Hall, which is an Anne Bronte novel. And Hannah read it, and she's going to talk to us about it, as well as the other one she read, because I appreciate that, you know, I'm not a great modern fiction or a popular fiction fan. So Hannah is also going to review one, and I can't remember what it's called. The Priory of the Orange Tree, which is that very small book that's behind her. So I'm now going to pretty much hand over to Han to talk to us in whichever order about those two books, and to make the case for why you should read them, basically. So over to Hannah.
So I like reading small books. You know, I like reading books that travel well, that commute well. I think that, you know, you want a book that fits in your pocket, in fact. And
just turn it. Yeah, pocket size reading.
Pocket size. Not only is this not pocket size reading, but I bought this when we were in Leeds. Wait. Bristol. Why did I say Leeds?
I've no idea.
We've never been to Leeds.
I've never been to Leeds, no.
I went with Dad. I bought this when we were in Bristol, and then had to
carry it home.
But I'm going to talk about this one second, because it's very exciting. This one I did not get in Bristol. Yeah, you can't really see that one. It's so pretty. It's something I wasn't expecting. I liked the blurb. I thought the blurb was really interesting.
Why don't you read us the blurb?
This sensational, hard-hitting and passionate tale of marital cruelty sees a mysterious new tenant at Wildfell Hall. Helen Graham, unmasked not as a wicked woman, as the local gossips would have it, but as the estranged wife of a brutal alcoholic bully desperate to protect her son. Using her own experiences with her brother Bramwell to depict the cruelty and debauchery from which Helen flees, Anne Bronte wrote her masterpiece to reflect the fragile position of women in society and her belief in universal redemption. Like, who wouldn't want to read that? But it is a really good story. It's set over two different set from two different narratives over two different time periods, because there's the first chunk of the story and the last chunk of the story is told by one narrator in what we would deem as the current time period, and the middle chunk of the book is told from a different narrator's standpoint from a past time period. So you get a quite wide chronology of information, which I really liked. I really liked both of the narrators. We as a reader come into the situation from knowing only what the first narrator knows, and we learn with that narrator throughout the story. As they get more information, that's how it comes to us, which I think is really interesting. And you know, all the little sort of seeds that are planted initially, that then in the middle of the book they start to unwind and more gets known, and then you get the end, sort of the end of the book, where suddenly us as the reader and the narrator are all in the know again, and kind of have now all this information.
And things fall into place.
And things fall into place. It's so vague. This is not very helpful, but you can't.
No, it's interesting. It's more the structure of the book specific. You're talking about.
But yeah, it's definitely an interesting structure. I'm not one to like books that there is writing in this that follows a first-person diary format, and I don't like that historically hate first-person writing, and I hate like letter format or diary format to tell a story. I hate that. It makes me feel very much like I'm getting a very shallow perspective of a story. I'm not getting both sides. I don't feel like I know other people or anything. But the way this was written and the narrative it was written from, I love this character, who the narrative was written from. And I love the insight into kind of everything around the character and just the way they are. I love it. So it's 520 pages, or at least this copy is 520 pages, and I probably did read it in about 4 or 5 days, because once within the first 100 pages it caught me, and I just couldn't stop reading it from there. It was just such a
great book.
Yeah, pretty much.
I agree totally.
I mean, 5 stars.
5 stars. I absolutely loved it. I wanted to read one by each of the Bronte sisters, as you know, Han. So we did Jane Eyre, Wuthering Heights, and The Tenant of Wildfell Hall. I'm not a great fan of Jane Eyre. I think it's overrated myself. I loved Wuthering Heights for all its blackness and its darkness.
It's so strange.
And it's foreboding.
I like angst and darkness.
Yeah.
And you don't.
Yeah.
And we're like the complete opposite.
And yet you hated Wuthering Heights, didn't you?
Heights, yeah.
But I really loved it. But I loved, without a doubt, Tenant of Wildfell Hall. That's my favourite. And in fact, I'm now sort of charged myself to read another Anne Bronte book. I think Agnes Grey was one, or Villette. Yeah. The two that I know of, Agnes Grey or Villette. But
Agnes Grey is quite, has to be quite.
But certainly, yeah, we would, both of us.
Kind of got told.
Both of us Winterton girls would thoroughly recommend this. It's such an enjoyable read. So yeah, for another classic, if you haven't read it and you want to add another classic to your repertoire, that would be the book that I would agree with Hannah. I would recommend that as this week's book. Anyhow, thank you, my darling. Can you believe you just did that? Thousands upon thousands of people are going to see that.
What, me going?
Exactly.
Yeah, but when they could be looking at that.
Yeah, we've actually got Honey down here now. He's looking all pathetic. But anyway, that's a half an hour. That's about a 10-minute longer book review. Oh, for goodness sake, I've got both now. Then I would normally do. Yes, thank you, darling. Really? So thank you for listening. I hope that was an interesting book review. As I say, I would rate The Tenant of Wildfell Hall, absolutely, as does Hannah, and Honey hasn't read it yet, obviously. And yeah, hope you enjoyed that. Let us know if you've read either of those two and what you thought. Like I said before, I'm going to put a book review or book club section in the Ravelry group. Excuse me a second. Yeah, just got a low power sign up on my phone, so that means it's time to go. And we can chat more about books there if you like. If you enjoyed this, give us a thumbs up, and if you feel like subscribing, do subscribe. That's very exciting.
Thumbs up. Was I late?
Thank you. Thumbs up. And we would say, in the meantime, have a great week. I hope the weather keeps good for you, and be more sheep. And what else do we say, Han? Because you don't watch my podcast, do you?
Be more sheep and be more cheerful.
And be more cheerful. Bye.